Welcome to Focus on Stafford County on 1590 KVGB and 97.7 FM. Your host today, Steve Webster, as we have a full studio today. Joining us, Carolyn Dunn, Stafford County Economic Development Director, Ashley Bevan, Stafford County Eco-Devo Program Director, and a special guest today, Christy Tustin, Executive Director of the Golden Belt Community Foundation. So all mics are accounted for today. Carolyn, how are you?
Doing great. How are you?
I'm doing very good. Christy, it's good to see you again.
Thank you.
Ashley.
Hello, Steve.
Hello. Great day today. Okay, we have I wrote my questions down as I was talking about it. I said, what's this? Because I think we may have touched on it last year. It's a World Economic Development Philanthropy Innovators Network, also known as REDPIN. Right? So what's going on with REDPIN?
So Golden Belt Community Foundation applied to be a part of this program about a year and a half ago. And I've just gotten to be a part of it because of being in the service area for Golden Belt Community Foundation. But I thought I'd let Christy tell a little bit about what it is and what we've learned through it and where we're going with it.
Tell me about some REDPIN.
All right. So as Carolyn said, REDPIN, it was about an 18-month program that we applied to be a part of. 9 community foundations from across the country were included. So we were very honored to be a part of that. So we put together a team and we're studying and learning about economic development philanthropy. It's kind of where our field is headed, but it's also an area where there can be a lot more impact made in our local communities. So for us, it was very exciting to, dab it a little bit into that area.
So one of 9?
One of 9.
Across the country?
Yes.
How were you designated to become that? That's you said that's a pretty good honor.
Yep, it was by application. So we had the opportunity to come across in one of our connections and emails, and we applied and spelled out what we had done so far and our desire to learn more and do more economic development philanthropy. So we were able to devise a plan and put some steps together, and now we have our first program and project that we're working on.
When you got this, did it open up some new avenues for you to raise needed funds for programs and things like that in this area?
I think that the fund development comes later, but it certainly raised some other avenues.
I think we all learned a lot about what is possible in this field. We learned a lot about the legal parameters that we need to be aware of as we move forward in this field. I think there's kind of 2 general ways that the community foundation can be involved in this type of work. One is through the types of grants that they offer, but then there's also the side of things that as an investor, they may be able to invest in things strategically locally too. That's maybe not the area that we spent the most time in the learnings, and that's not where I think our local group kind of defined the initial projects to be, but we all got to learn about that and kind of understand where over time things might evolve.
What are some of the things that you really took out of it that may have caught your eye and surprised you and the light bulb came on a little bit?
Well, one of the things that was really fascinating is listening to all the other community foundations and everyone's focus area. And so seeing how they were able to use their assets in different ways by either making loans or creative grants to bring something to their community, something that, a traditional community foundation, it wasn't a role we usually played. But now that door is open, so we have networking opportunities and colleagues now across the country that we can draw upon their expertise when we're ready to make those same types of grants or investments.
You mentioned you had to kind of put the game plan together. Kind of tell me about the plan that you have right now.
We are. Well, our focus area has been centered around people. We've decided that this whole area, our 4-county region, we need people. We need good people coming back to the area, not just leaving our communities. And we also need to work on those people that stayed here or have already come back, and how can we build them up. So our first project is what we call kind of a reverse scholarship. It will help provide an incentive for people to hopefully move home, targeting not an immediate necessarily a college graduate, but those maybe 10 years post-college graduation. And then maybe not even limited to that. We may even include some technical colleges and other professions that we feel are important and needed in our area.
A lot of the individuals that you see moving back, I guess you could say, from the big city back to our area, central Kansas, central to western Kansas, are more professional in nature. Would you agree?
Some of them are, but I think that's where we have to take a look at our communities, and we see a lot of businesses that may not be those that need the 4-year or higher degree, but there's still much needed to have a thriving community and to have all the services that we need right here. And so we need people to come back potentially to take over some of those businesses. So it's looking at the whole picture.
Carolyn, you've seen some of that success in Stafford County.
Well, we are participating in the Rural Opportunity Zone program with the state of Kansas, and we have had, I forget now exactly how many we've been able to fund, about 8 to 10 people coming back. And it's like many things, it's a good piece of the puzzle, but there's been limitations in that. And I think there'll be, because of that, some good opportunities to work with Golden Belt Community Foundation and the flexibility that they'll probably have that isn't necessarily there in the state program, that, maybe we can cover a few more bases with it.
We're talking about REDPIN, Rural Economic Development Philanthropy Innovators Network. And where was this? You went to a seminar for this, right?
We just came back from our third and final conference.
Conference, okay.
I don't know,
okay.
Meeting, however they call it. But we went to Minnesota and had 4 days to focus on this. So at least I do, with a conference, you come back and you're re-energized and refocused on the possibilities. And, when I go to this conference, it is Golden Belt Community Foundation that is the participant in this program, but I also have a full-time role in working in philanthropic economic development. So I kind of carry those ideas into 2 different pieces of work that I do. There's lots of things that we're trying to do in Stafford County specifically right now that definitely fall into that role of.
Chrissy, where were the other states from, or the other people that were at this conference?
Boy, if I can remember them all. There was one foundation out of California, Michigan, Minnesota, New York.
I guess when you look, I was trying to get, because I think it would be fascinating to find the different challenges in different parts of the country. Maybe talk about some of the different challenges that they have there, and then maybe some of the challenges that everyone faces.
Right, they're all very similar. We probably could have adopted any one of their
Really?
challenges and worked on them here. One was focused on childcare.
That's the one that always
There's a big
jumps out at
topic
me.
in our rural communities. There's always a need for childcare and quality childcare.
Mm-hmm.
Others were focused on workforce development, some working with high school students and getting them either skills training or that next step. One had a particular community that had a lot of manufacturing, so they were focused on that aspect of training. But what were some of the other?
The 2 that I would have brought up are the ones that you brought up first. I'm thinking.
Well, that's one of the things that's interesting, because we always hear about small. You want employment, right? Well, of course, employment, that means you have to have somewhere to live, right? So that brings up the housing aspect, which is something that, Carolyn, your organization has dealt with a lot. But the child care thing, I guess, right, when all your kids are out of the house, you don't think about that as a challenge anymore.
Well, it comes up a lot. It's not maybe consistent. It's not affordable for those who are needed pieces of the workforce. I think a lot of places seem to me to be coming to the conclusion that to have consistent child care available, there's probably got to be some kind of essentially subsidization of it, whether that comes from, the public or churches or employers. There's several different models, but it kind of boils down to it probably needs some element of outside support to keep it consistent, and the quality that, again, you might have if you were in a more urbanized area. And if we want to build our community, it's a piece of what we need that we need to look at, I guess. We're missing it. And I've even, in here within Kansas, spent a lot of time talking with people in other communities and kind of how they've attacked the problem. And one that stands out in my mind is a group in, Ellsworth, that put together a nonprofit that built a daycare. And part of the story they've told me is they built it bigger than they thought they needed at the time, and that people came out of the woodwork that they didn't even know needed child care, and that it became an economic kind of driver that they didn't anticipate, that they had some people coming back to the area that had been kind of holding off on moving home, But it wasn't necessarily they moved back just because of childcare, but it was one less thing that held them back from coming. So it was one of those pieces that made it possible for them to come back. And they've got a nice success story there. So I see a lot of themes in other areas that are consistent, and we just haven't necessarily figured out all of the pieces of the puzzle here. We're working on it.
Well, implementation, things like that. Do you have a timeline or anything what you'd like to approach with this?
Our first project, the reverse scholarship concept, we have a goal to have that launched by the end of the year at the Community Foundation, as operating as a regional program. So in any of our 4 counties, in Barton, Pawnee, Rush, and Stafford. And that's where we're going to start. From there, at least at the Community Foundation, the board conversation will center on what's next and how do we help those people already in our communities and where's the gap. And we're at the beginning stages of that conversation, so we have some work to do.
How will the reverse scholarship program work, Christy?
It's pretty similar to the Rural Opportunity Zone program. However, I think some of our questions will be very focused about, what do you hope to do when you move back here? Do you have family still living here, any other connections? And then trying to identify, are they really filling a gap? Do we really need that type of professional? And then maybe we can add other incentives that other organizations have. And so it's not first come, first serve like Rural Opportunity Zone. It will be a competitive process.
Okay, and what are some of the scholarship opportunities that we're talking about here?
Oh, the reverse scholarship. So getting people to move home will help pay off their student loan debt.
Okay.
So that's the whole premise of it. So we don't have the exact criteria or parameters even established right at this point, but they will have to have some existing student loan debt to take part in that.
Well, we've seen Stafford County Economic Development do some wonderful things, Golden Belt Community Foundation doing some wonderful things. So how do you feel, Christy, when you get into this phase of a new project where you're at? Some excitement, trepidation, what are we looking at here?
All of it.
Yeah.
It's very exciting, and it's a little scary. Like I say, it's a whole new path that our traditional community foundation has not taken yet. And so it's a whole new world of opportunities and partnerships that we can work with our local organizations. And I think there's a lot of good stuff yet to come as we're able to learn more and put more together.
I'm full of ideas right now.
I can believe that. Well, anything else on REDPIN that we want to talk about?
No, but on that note of, it gives you fuel for things that we work on outside of the Golden Belt Foundation. We can talk about AmeriCorps. One of the things that we've got going on at Economic Development is that we've mentioned this before, that we have been approved as a site for AmeriCorps, and that is a version of philanthropic economic development. The thing that we needed to show is that the AmeriCorps people would be able to help in the effort to reduce poverty. That's a lot of the justification for their program. And so we have a community need. They're going to be able to have that kind of impact by working on various economic development projects that we've got lined up. So I'll let maybe Ashley tell a little bit about how someone that is interested could actually find out more about the specifics of the job and actually submit an application.
So the links to actually apply for, we have 2 of our positions that are active right now online. I do have a tab on our website, www.staffordEcoDevo.com, and under our work tab, there's a specific page for AmeriCorps. So I have 2 of our 3 positions listed right now, and it goes into detail about their duties and responsibilities, and then some of the program benefits that they can receive, such as a relocation allowance if they're moving in from out of state or a farther distance, some health coverage through AmeriCorps. This is essentially like a paid internship in my mind. They do get a living allowance. We'll go through a training when they start here. And then they get an additional benefit of either an education award or end of service stipend. So there's some benefits to doing this. So like I said, you can go online to our website. That'll take you to the AmeriCorps website where they can actually apply. Now, if we have people interested locally, go ahead and call our office. And if you have questions, we can answer those first. I have had a few people reach out to me already just wanting to know more specifics before they go ahead and apply. So again, call our office, 620-549-3527, if you want some things answered first. We have 1 application so far, so we'd like a pool to choose from in all reality. But like I said, position 1, Employment Opportunity Vista, they'll be doing a lot of marketing and public relations for us, working with our businesses, coming up with recruitment strategies for placement services within economic development, engaging citizens, including our young professionals. That's an organization that we would like to get started in Stafford County. And I have a few people that have volunteered to help me with that. So hopefully we'll get that off the ground here soon. Our other position is a community development Vista, and they'll do more of our business development, research, strategy, and planning for us. Some with hopefully our city governments, and maybe look at long-term and short-term planning. These individuals will really be our feet on the ground in Stafford County, and we're hoping that they'll bring a lot of energy with them. So we're excited for this.
Just to bring things a little bit full circle, I don't know, we've probably talked about this, but going back a year and a half ago, 2 years ago? No, about a year and a half ago, Golden Belt Community Foundation did award a $10,000 grant to Stafford County Economic Development that went into purchasing the building that we are going to be doing this AmeriCorps work out of. So it's got a commercial space on the ground floor. That's where we'll, kind of have our offices. And on the second floor, it's got a 3-bedroom apartment, and that's where the housing will be provided for the individuals that come to participate in the program. So we appreciate the very, cooperative working relationship that's been the foundation of this.
Works pretty well. Ashley, how long are these positions? I mean, how long will it be?
So it's listed online that they'll start September 1, but somewhere in that general area. And then it's actually a year-long service term. So they'd be here through August of next year.
I did want to ask you, the Rural Grocery Initiative Conference, since we're running a little bit low on time here, that was in Manhattan?
It was.
Well, I saw that on the Kansas State University website and all the publicity. I said, I wonder why they didn't get Carolyn Dunn for that.
Well,
you were there.
I was there. We did talk about the St. John Project. There were, 300 or 400 people there and a lot of different presenters. So it's not as if I wasn't, there were a lot of people that had different stories to share. And you do get an appreciation for how diverse, even within small town Kansas, the scenarios are and what fits what community. But the idea that we were very confident that we wanted to set something in place that wasn't going to require like ongoing volunteer work or ongoing philanthropic investment. We I guess are taking this approach that yes, it's going to take some more upfront investment, but if we can create a more robust just business in the first place, that hopefully it will be just on very good financial grounding and will succeed in its own right as a job creator and so forth over time. And there were a lot of others that had very different models. They were more co-op oriented, more volunteer oriented. And it works in some places, but we got to tell our story, and we went through and we kind of said, it kind of gave us a reason to go back and really review each step of the way. And even Pat White said, gosh, I haven't seen that all on one page before. All of the things that have led to that. So
How many pages was it?
Well, just like the pieces of finance that have gone into it. There's been 10,
Wow.
11 different grants or pieces of support from the city. And
Well, just when the grocery store leaves town, I mean, you got to start the process of, okay, what do we do now? You got a lot of people sitting there, well, gosh, what's going to, I mean, from that point, inception of, we've got to do something or we're not going to have it. And gosh, you got to be getting excited right now.
We are. Again, going back through this, I actually, it's several pages of telling the story, but from the idea of an initial grant for $15,000 that helped us get legal guidance that it took to have a development agreement and letters of intent and set up a tax increment finance district. That was kind of an important initial piece of support, but that has led to, a big federal grant and other state grants, and having some of those initial pieces of funding in place, I guess, gave us more. Others could see that it was likely to happen, and that led to over $400,000 in local, just individual contributions. it's a wild ride, but here we go, and I'm feeling good about it.
Yeah, it's coming up this fall. Ashley, you've got logo contest for the grocery store.
So the grocery store will have a convenience store aspect to it. And so Pat White and Carolyn and myself were standing out at the work site one day, and, we need to have someone develop a logo for the convenience store side. And so Pat's come up with the name idea of the Tiger Stop. And so what we're asking is that any individuals can submit a logo design to my email, so ashlee@staffordecodevo.com in JPEG or PDF format by Friday, July 13th at 5 p.m. to be entered into the contest. The winner will receive a $100 gift card to use at the grocery store once it's open in October. So there's a little incentive to winning. But we've only received 3 logos so far, so we could probably have a few more to pick from if people are interested.
Tiger Stop.
Tiger Stop, yeah.
Are Mustangs or Trojans allowed to shop there? Or?
Oh.
I'm just kidding, okay? Yes. So the Tiger Stop, that's going to be great. And again, it's going to be, you're going to have pharmacy, you're going to have groceries and gasoline and
ethanol. We talked about that at the Rural Grocery Conference, that's actually, when you think about local production, sometimes feeding into your local store, one of our biggest local products here, probably the biggest, is actually corn in the form of ethanol that's being processed in one of 2 plants within just about 40 miles of St. John. So we'll probably plow through 36 to 40,000 gallons of ethanol a year, and that's a piece of the local puzzle.
That's what it should be. Now, do we have we're getting close enough where you can say, okay, this is going to be the date for this, or
we're saying October 10th right now. So, things can evolve and change a little bit, but I think we'll be pretty close to that date. We're mostly past the period where rain can affect construction delays, I think. So.
You say that, and then we'll see it.
We'll
have rain on Saturday night, but we've got plenty of time to get the weed in. Ashley, any other local events that are coming up?
Yeah, tonight is the Farmers Market in St. John. That's from 4 to 6. Stafford Chamber of Commerce is sponsoring a citywide garage sale in July. So if you want your address included on the map, submit $5 and your address to Jan Van Dam or Jamie Kreitzer by July 10th. Economic Development's hosting their annual photography contest at the county fair, and those details are on our website as well underneath the Play tab. We have 3 different categories of photography submissions, and a $25 prize will be given to the winner in each category, and then $5 honorable mentions, and we use those for promotional materials and our website. So we look forward to getting those photos every year.
Tremendous work as always. Christy, thanks for coming over today.
Thank you.
I don't know. Carolyn and I say you're going to be the next governor. I don't know, Christy, maybe we have to run on the same ticket or something, but you guys are doing a great job. Thanks for all you do for our area. And you can come up in a few years and take over when they're done, okay, Ashley?
Okay.
All right, that's our show today. Cole Reif, who's been anxiously awaiting to do the news, that's coming up after ABC News here on KVGB.